Hello everybody and welcome to the last weekend of the 2022 season, not only for Formula 1 but for nearly every single series. This is it, the finale. I can barely believe we've reached this part. It is so bizarre. It doesn't seem 5 minutes ago since the season started back in Bahrain with pre-season, and now we are here. Photos have been taken today as well. Max and Checo looking quite amicable with each other as well, considering what happened 7 days ago at Sao Paulo, but Red Bull have done everything. Now the big question is, can Sergio Perez take second in the Drivers' Championship over from the one only Charles Leclerc? Hello everybody, welcome to the drivers press conference then for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. We are almost set to go. As you can hear in your ears, better put my second one in actually, because it's hard to hear exactly what's happening out there on the track today as well. We're almost all set for what's going to be a fantastic weekend. There's a lot of noise over in the paddock, as you can hear as well. Good morning to Cynthia, says hi. Josh T says welcome back as well. Dismas says hey, yo, what's up Joshua? I'm very well. Got a bit of a cold and having a haircut and shaving later as well, so I look completely different tomorrow, but that's the habit on Thursdays. Should have looked like that, but unfortunately my hairdresser was double booked, but she's coming today, so woohoo, look better for later as well. But we're all looking forward to this Abu Dhabi Grand Prix the last weekend. Josh has just texted in as well, saying that Liam Lawson is replacing Max, only cares about himself, Stappen, for free practice one. So Liam Lawson in the main Red Bull. Going to see a lot of Friday drivers take part in practice one tomorrow. Hopefully we'll have a guest on in the commentary box. Now Josh isn't there for FP1, but we are hoping to have a special guest up in the commentary box as well. So it's going to be very exciting throughout this weekend as well. But what do we look at here coming? Well, let's take a look then at the championship standings as we come into this round. As you can now see as well, Max Verstappen on 429 points. Charles Leclerc and Sergio Perez are level on 290 each, which means it's simple. Whoever finishes ahead gets second. Contrasted to 12 months ago when we came here and it was all about who was going to be in the box there. Okay, going forward as well, we've got Russell in 4th, Hamilton 5th, Sainz is in 6th, and he's dropped right back as well. Norris, Ocon, Alonso and Bottas rounding on the top 10. Vettel halfway mark, still in a battle with Ricciardo. Magnussen and Gasly getting closer and closer. Stroll versus Schumacher and Tsunoda. Zhou 6th, Albon. And then we get Latifi, De Vries and Hulkenberg, both with, well, De Vries with 2 points, Hulkenberg with no points as well, after only debutising for 2 races at the start of the year. In the Constructors' Championship, Red Bull have wrapped that up, 719. Ferrari on 524, and then we've got Mercedes on 505. So it's easily possible that Mercedes might take second in the Constructors' Championship still. Then we've got Alpine versus McLaren. That battle seems to have swung in the way of Alpine. Alfa Romeo battling with Aston Martin, still close. Haas battling with AlphaTauri. Williams on their own, down in 10th. Well, the big news coming into today before we head up to the first part of the press conference is that the worst kept secret of this season has been finally announced. It's going to be Nico Hulkenberg who will be replacing Mick Schumacher at the Haas F1 team next season as well. Haas feeling that Mick has done all he can and now he's no longer a Ferrari development driver. There's no reason to keep him in. So it's very disappointing as well to see that Mick is going to be leaving Formula 1 at the end of the season. Rumour is, though, that he could be taking over at Williams if Logan Sargent doesn't get the super license points he needs this season from the F2. So fingers crossed there. Also, we understand that Mick has an eye on a seat for 2024. So it's not over and done just yet for Mick Schumacher. But Hulkenberg is back. Arguably not a very good decision. A driver who's got the record for most amount of races without a single podium in his Formula 1 career and only one single pole position, equal to what happened with Kevin Magnussen a few weeks ago. It's quite a contrast that Haas went from old drivers to young drivers, and then the young drivers were so disappointed that they've gone back to older drivers. Haas's mentality still not working that well. So we're going to be in for a very interesting season, especially as Magnus and Hulkenberg have that fiery relationship we all like to see. Also in Formula 2, Juan Manuel Correa is back in as well, which is absolutely fantastic. Back in after what happened to him as well at the Belgium Grand Prix back in 2019 when he unfortunately made contact with Anton Hubert at the top of the hill and unfortunately Anton passed away, and it was very close to losing Juan Manuel Correa. Thankfully he returned this year to Formula 3, and now he's back in Formula 2 for the last round of the season. Last race, though, for Sebastian Vettel before he retires from Formula 1, his 299th Grand Prix start. Last race for Daniel Ricciardo. Last race also for Mick Schumacher at the moment. So there's a lot of lasts coming around here at the moment, which is terribly upsetting, as well as my nose starts to run because of the heater in the commentary box. So I apologise for that. But we're going to be in for a very interesting press conference as well, especially the first lot. Tom Clarkson, as always, is in attendance. Jenny Gower is actually on site this weekend, and she's going to be answering some questions in the press conference, as will David Croft up there as well. But we'll read out everything from the Haas statement coming up shortly. But in the first half of the press conference, as well in the TV pen, so with the interviews we'll hear in the break, it'll be Bottas, Gasly, Sainz, Norris and Albon. Then after that will be Zhou, Ocon, Stroll, Magnussen and Perez. In the press conference today, in the first one, we'll hear from Tsunoda, Alonso, Vettel, Hamilton and Latifi. And then in the second part, we'll hear from Leclerc, Schumacher, Ricciardo, Russell and Verstappen. But get the tissues out then for Sebastian Vettel, his last ever driver's press conference. And he's going to be in a very emotional mood as well. Tom Clarkson will have all of the details for us as well. I'm getting electrocuted by my earphones. I think it's time for a new pair for 2023 as well. Last weekend I have to wear these though, which is good. But all looking good. Yeah, the lead's a bit bust, so maybe some new ones for next season. But still, it's going to be a very interesting one. Last round then here, round 22, the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Time then to head up shortly to the press conference. Anthony Pinkham is there as well with Karun Chatnock and Damon Hill. If we have to throw down to them at any point throughout for some reaction news, Ted Kravitz is patrolling the media pen as well. Let's head up then to the media pen and we'll hand over to Tom Clarkson with Tsunoda, Alonso, Vettel, Hamilton and Latifi.
A very warm welcome, everybody, to our final drivers' press conference of the year ahead of the FIA Formula 1 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. And as you can see from left to right, we have Lewis Hamilton, Fernando Alonso, Sebastian Vettel, Yuki Tsunoda and Nicholas Latifi. Very warm welcome to you all. Sebastian, if we could start with you, please. The moment has arrived, your last weekend as a Formula 1 driver. How are you feeling at this stage?
I don't know, maybe I should ask Fernando. He went through it already. He will go through it again, I guess, at some point. Yeah, I feel okay. I mean, obviously, I guess after so many years and races, there's the routine of Thursday, but I think it's difficult in a way to grasp. But yeah, I'm aware of what's happening and I'm happy about it, so as far as I can be.
Are emotions going to be running high when you're inside the car?
I will see, I guess. I guess it will be at some point a little bit different. It does feel a little bit different already today, even though it's, like I said, a lot of it is routine. But yeah, how much and how it will be, I don't know yet. I guess you have to ask me again if you catch me.
I'm sure we will. Look, it seems trite to ask only one question about the last 17 years of your life, but if you have one abiding memory from your Formula 1 career, what is it?
I don't think it works that way. I don't think it's fair to pick one. So I obviously can't speak for an hour now, and I don't really want to, but I think that I've been lucky that there's been so many moments to choose from. Yeah, impossible to remember everything after so many years. I guess that always the first, in a way, always stand out. But yeah, I think every time had its highlights. There were its moments, and yeah, I also enjoyed the last 2 years, even though from a sporting point of view, maybe they weren't really a highlight. There was nothing to celebrate, no success in this regard. Still, I think, you know, I learned a lot. I think I progressed, I grew, and had a good time together with the team. So we didn't get the reward on track, but still. So I don't think it's fair to pick only one race or one moment.
Sebastian, enjoy your last weekend. Thank you very much. I'm sure there'll be more questions for you in a minute. Lewis, if I could come to you next, please. When you think of the battles you've had with Sebastian over the years, what comes to mind?
Can you switch off this one?
When I think of Seb, he was a bit of a nuisance back then.
I'm actually quite sorry. It's your answer, but I think Baku for me wasn't a great moment because what I did wasn't right.
Sure.
But actually, I think from that moment onwards,
Our friendship got better.
yeah, a lot better. So I don't want that to
No,
not happen. If you see what I mean.
I agree.
Yeah.
No, I think we always had such great battles, honestly. And I was just sitting here thinking, most drivers are coming back. Like he's come back, you're probably going to come back. We're seeing other drivers coming back, so I'm sitting here kind of accepting, yes, it's your last race, but you'll be back. Formula One has a way of sucking you back in. We've noticed that from so many other drivers. So, no.
Maybe we can make a deal. We speak outside.
Yeah.
When you want to get away, maybe I want to come back.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
And just swap, alternate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Lewis, let's talk about Mercedes now. You guys were extremely quick in Brazil. Do you think you can repeat that level of performance here?
Who knows? We are still improving the car. We don't believe that this track will necessarily be our strongest. We think it may suit the others a little bit better, but I won't know till I get out there, to be honest. I hope that it's like last race.
Okay, and look, final one from me. I know how much you're into statistics, but this is your 200th race with Mercedes. How time flies.
Yeah. I was just thinking of the first race we had here in 2009, which I think Seb actually is one of the races we were competing in again, which Seb won. But yeah, it's been an amazing journey, one that I'm incredibly honored to have been on with Mercedes, and it's I think it's one of the longest standing drivers, right, with a team, so proud of that. Shows loyalty continues to be at the core of one of the many pillars of the values that we have as a team, and looking forward to extending.
All right, Lewis, thank you. Best of luck to you this weekend. And Fernando, if I could come to you, please. You too have enjoyed many great battles with the man on your left. What will you miss about Sebastian?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be strange to don't have him in next year in the first race. But yeah, I mean, we share, as you said, so many things over the last 15 years. Sometimes we fought for championships, sometimes for 7th places, even in Japan, until the finish line. And we still obviously always enjoy every single battle and respect each other as much as we could. So yeah, I think my career is going to be linked to Sebastian in a way, because we fought for many great things and in the best seasons of our life probably. And even though it was on his side, the outcome always, I think it's going to be very linked, as I said, our two names or my name in Sebastian's career and vice versa.
Has he given you any tips about life at Aston Martin?
No, not yet. I will ask on Sunday evening.
All right, Fernando, let's talk about Alpine. You had tremendous pace in Brazil. Can you carry that momentum on here?
Let's see, I think it has been up and down a little bit for us in terms of performance, but also reliability has been our weakest point. So let's see if we can finish the season on a high and with a good result here. About how competitive we can be, I don't think that we can repeat the Brazil performance. I don't think that we will be that close to the top 3, but hopefully if we are in front of the midfield, that's already something for us. So that's the target, finishing the race with a good result and enjoy every single lap on Sunday.
You're not leaving Formula One, but you are moving on from Alpine. How do you look back on your 2 years with the team?
Great. Obviously, coming back to the sport is never a guarantee that you will be okay and competitive, and you still enjoy everything in Formula One. So I had some concerns, obviously, 2 years ago when I did a demo here on before the young driver test in 2020, and yeah, I think last year I was not maybe 100% happy with the performance and with how the season went. This year I'm much more happy with the car and with the performance itself, and much more, I think, ready for the next challenge. So you cannot underestimate coming back to the sport, in case Seb wants some advice, but you need few races or even one full season to feel 100% again, and it's what happened to me. But I'm happy now that I feel at a very good level.
All right. Thank you to you. Best of luck this weekend. Yuki, coming to you now. You had a brilliant weekend here in Abu Dhabi last year. How difficult is it going to be to repeat that performance this time around?
Yeah, this year consistently we're having up and down season so far. So yeah, could be good like last year, but yeah, see how it goes. In Brazil wasn't good as I wanted. So yeah, obviously I wish hopefully I can continue like the result I had last year, which was the best result for me. So having good memories, so it's already a good start. So see how it goes.
Now, this is the end of your second season in Formula One. In what areas do you feel you've progressed?
For me, I think I would say in general, physical side, mentality side, and driving side. I think overall I'm pretty happy. Especially I would say now I'm pretty feeling relaxing in the race week, especially like Thursday, Friday, which I didn't know how to approach, and I was stressing consistently, especially last year, like rushing everything, and that makes a little bit kind of stress, over frustrating, and made it a little bit difficult by myself. But now I come kind of relaxing, and I know how to adapt to any situation. So feeling confidence, good confidence, and anything that happens, like the things I didn't expect, still I know how to handle it. So yeah, I think overall this year I'm pretty happy about how I progressed every races. And yeah, I think hopefully I can continue or even more this momentum, and also next year as well.
All right. Thank you, Yuki. Good luck to you this weekend. And Nikki, thank you for waiting. Of course, it is your last race weekend in Formula One, at least for now. How are you feeling coming into the weekend?
Yeah, there's obviously a range of different emotions. I mean, for sure, let's say when I found out the news I wasn't going to be continuing with the team, there was that was with 6 races to go, so I kind of just went in with the approach to enjoy each opportunity, try and make the most of it, and just try and enjoy as much as I can, and not kind of sweat or stress about the little stuff, or what seems like the little stuff in hindsight that's kind of yeah, been difficult to deal with throughout the season. And yeah, obviously now we've arrived at the last race, which on one hand felt like it was very slowly approaching, but on the other hand quite quickly, so it's a bit of a weird position. But yeah, coming into the race, for sure, for sure it's a bit sad and then disappointing. I mean, I would love to continue on in Formula One. I mean, that's my goal, that's where I want to be. But it's looking obviously like it's not going to be the case. So I'm grateful for the opportunity that I've had these 3 years. I know the very privileged position I've been in, that many drivers would kill to drive one race, let alone 3 years in F1. So I'm very grateful for that, and just looking to enjoy it as much as I can.
And how do you reflect on those 3 years?
I mean, I think it's safe to say it's been a very up and down year. I mean, I think my first 2 years were, I guess, what you can expect as a first 2 years in Formula One. A rookie season as a rookie season, and second year I think there was some really big improvements all around on my side. And I guess this year, as a team, collectively, we took a step backwards, and I just struggled to get on top of the car. Various different issues, obviously, some things in my control, some things out of my control. I mean, that's motorsport. That's the way it always goes. And yeah, this year ultimately was I mean, I would say my worst year out of the 3 years in what was a crucial year for me to secure the future. So I think that's the reality of it, and it just didn't work out in the end.
Any news on what's happening next?
None yet.
This is the moment. No, okay. Nikki, thank you. Thank you to all of you. Let's open this to the floor now. As ever, please remember to give your name and publication. First one, please.
Hi. David Croft, Sky Sports F1. Question to Lewis. Not just one of the longest associations with the team, you're the first driver to start 200 races for the same team, so congratulations on that. Can we just reflect for a few moments on your 177th start for Mercedes, and that was here last year? What do you remember about that last lap from a sporting context? Because for all the controversy, it was one of the most dramatic laps we've ever had in Formula One. What do you remember about the fight with Max, the battle, and what are your thoughts coming back here to Abu Dhabi 12 months on?
I don't really think a lot about it, so I don't really have many thoughts on the last race here. I've had many great experiences here in the previous years. Even from the first race that I had here in 2009, which was the hybrid era in which I was leading and had the brake failure, which was, I remember the feeling of having to retire in that race. So I've had lots of ups and downs at this race. I'm not really necessarily focused on stuff that is behind me, and more so trying to not control, but trying to be the best I can moving forwards the days ahead. And again, just as I said, just really proud. It's crazy that's been with Mercedes. They started with me when I was 13 in 1997, so it's been a long journey with them.
Did you ever watch the last lap back again? Did you ever think to yourself, look, I'll have a little look, see where I could have held him off if it was possible?
I don't look in the past and try and think of what I could have done better necessarily in that respect, no.
All right, thank you, Lewis. We'll make the switch now and come back with more questions from the print media in just a minute.
Well, it was fantastic to hear once again from the top teams as well. And during that, we had something come up from Red Bull, and we did put it up on the screen for you to read it as well. I'll read it to you again in full. As a team, we made some mistakes in Brazil. We had not... I need to put my glasses on, but the commentary box, blimey, that's a small screen. We had not envisioned the situation that unfolded on the last lap, and we had not agreed a strategy for such a scenario before the race. Regrettably, Max was only informed at the final corner of the request to give up the position, without all the necessary information being relayed. This put Max, who has always been an open and fair team player, in a compromising situation with little time to react, which was not our intention. Following the race, Max spoke openly and honest, allowing for both drivers to resolve any outstanding issues or concerns. The team accept Max's reasoning. The conversation was a personal matter, which will remain private between the team, and no further comment will be made. And then an addendum to that. The events that followed from a social media point of view are completely unacceptable. The abusive online behaviour towards Max, Checo and the team and their respective families is shocking and saddening, and unfortunately is something that we as a sport are having to address with a depressing regularity. I need glasses back. There is no place for it in racing or society as a whole, and we need to do better. At the end of the day, this is a sport. We're here to race. Death threats, hate mail, vitriol towards extended family members is deplorable. They really need to get better language as well. Red Bull always do this. They like to sound so high and mighty when downgrading people. It's very, very bad. We value inclusion and want a safe space for everyone to work in and enjoy our sport. This abuse needs to stop. Stop down talking to people who you've made angry. But I do agree with the fact that it's not okay, that all the threats we've seen online as well, that is a step too far. But Red Bull there to sort of antagonising it. Even I'm not wearing my glasses, but even I had to question some of the words they were saying there as well. Not very basic there, was it? But still very interesting to hear there as well. We're going to hear from some drivers from the pen as well. Let's have a word now down in the... Oh no, they're going to an ad break first, okay. I did wonder what they were doing. But Sky are going to an ad break, which means I can turn that down. Let's have a look then. Josh says, no need to remind me of Abu Dhabi 21. 13 play. Okay then. Yeah, looks like it. Yeah. So it was a very situation. Yeah, last year's Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, the last lap. I know that Sky F1 were going to try and ram this home as much as they can this weekend, considering the fact that they played the whole Grand Prix again just before the press conference aired. Which isn't ever a good idea. The past is in the past. Just let that season go. It was one of the best we've ever seen. Yes, it ended bizarrely, but it's over now. Max is a double world champion. You can't say this year he hasn't exactly deserved it. He's outraced everybody 14 times, nearly 15. He could do it this weekend. Looking through, then look, confirmation just coming up on my screen that Liam Lawson is driving an FP1 in the RB18 in place of Max Verstappen. Haas have no revenue on Mick Schumacher for 2023. So now I'm going to keep him as the third driver, it seems. Is it just popping up? I think you can see that on your screens as well. Nico Rosberg says, I look forward to our Green Awards, celebrating our green change makers and breakthrough innovations. Get COVID vaccinated then. As well, Nico, and get back to the F1 paddock as well, because that's the reason you're not in, because you haven't had a COVID vaccine. So don't say that you're looking forward to the Green Awards as well when you won't help protect the planet. I'm just saying that because you won't get your COVID jab. It's perfectly safe. I've had 3 of them. Okay, looking at this weekend, I think the biggest news this weekend, though, is definitely Juan Manuel Correa in Formula 2 being back in the car as well. Is going to be absolutely fantastic. Can't wait to see what he's got to offer. I think it's about time we get some new mic shields as well for next year, and some new earphones and some new leads. The whole box needs regenerating after a couple of seasons used as well. So that'll be something we're doing over the winter break, getting everything ready for March as well. But looking fantastic as always, this one. We'll be hearing from more after the break as well. In a second, we'll hand over to Sky F1 to take us up to the next part of the press conference, and then I'll be back at the end of the show to give you the details for this weekend. But do keep in touch with us as well throughout it, because we're going to have guests in Practice 1. Megan's going to join us for Practice 2. Josh will be with us as well from Practice 2 onwards. Cynthia will be with us for a couple of sessions. We've got the F2 races live as well. That's going to be jolly exciting to see their season finale. Everyone's sort of racing for a dead rubber race, but Logan Sargent's still got second in the title. And of course, we've still got second place in the Drivers and the Constructors' Championship to decide. So there's loads of things to look forward to this weekend. We'll give you the information on what everything needs to happen as well in terms of the Constructors' fights, the Drivers' Championship battles as well that's going on. Yes, it's not the big one of who's going to be world champion, but being second and third is just as important as well, because you get to go to an FIA dinner and get the silver and bronze awards as well. Okay, a few moments time then, and we'll head over. Just having a look as well at some of the things as well that's coming through on the social media side of things. I think everyone is very upset that Sebastian Vettel is leaving the Formula 1, but as we heard as well, it could be back. Well, it's official, Mick leaving Haas and welcoming back Hulkenberg. Yep, it is indeed. Hulkenberg as well. Now, he last did a full season in Formula 1, didn't Nico Hulkenberg, in 2019 as well, correct me if I'm wrong, yeah, and I think he ended up upside down. No, it was 2018 he ended up upside down here in Abu Dhabi. So 2019 was his last race here as well, but he did 2020, did 3 Grand Prix, 2 at Silverstone, 1 at Eiffel. 2021, he did a couple of races as well. And 2022, he's doing a couple of races. So he has actually been quite consistent throughout the years. Okay, time to hand over then to Natalie Pinkham for a few minutes before the next press conference starts in 5. Over to you, Natalie.
Welcome back to Abu Dhabi and the last race of the year. I can't quite believe I'm saying those words. And the last chance for many of the drivers to put in a good performance ahead of the winter break. One person who'd love to do that, well, plenty of them would, is Lando Norris. Difficult weekend for McLaren in Brazil, particularly for him, given how sick he was. I saw him on Tuesday for a Red Arrow shoot, which you'll be able to see over the race weekend. It's brilliant.
Hang on, he was sick and you put him in a plane.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, honestly, he turned up looking awful, but it was really lovely because he said this was a wish of Will Joseph, his race engineers, for years. They'd actually tried for 3 years to go up with the Red Arrows, and he wasn't about to say no now based on some food poisoning. But you think he really was in a bad way in Brazil, don't you?
Yeah, he really was. You know, up at race control, I was listening to the team radio, and he just sounded so mellow, and there were quite a few questions from Will, during the race, and normally they're very good at communicating back and forth. And Lando just sounded like he had no energy. So I don't know. Okay, we'll see. You could tell by the tone of his voice that he really wasn't feeling well. And that's a tough race track to do, Damon, isn't it? It's a physical race.
What's that rice mile for?
I have, just because I heard him say once on the radio, they said, "How's it going, Lando?" And he said, "Just chilling." So it did sound incredibly laid back, and I wasn't sure whether he was sick or whether he was just, that's how he is on the radio. But what could he do? You had to plough on. But no, it's horrible if you have to do a job like that and you're not feeling up to it.
Have you ever felt like that?
I actually I went from Brazil to Argentina in my championship year, and I won in Brazil, and then I went to Rio and I went surfing. And then someone told me later that it was the kind of sewage outlet for one of the biggest favelas in the world. Sure enough, I was, what should I say, evacuating everything.
Oh dear.
Moving on.
It's moving on, yeah.
Sorry.
But I went to Argentina not feeling too good, looking a bit green. But I still won.
Yeah. But you're still smiling.
But your point about McLaren is absolutely right. I mean, they had Daniel out on lap 1, and Lando, going through all of that pain to then have a DNF with a reliability issue. So with Alpine scoring big, Fernando Alonso in 5th, Ocon also in the points, it really wasn't a good weekend for...
Yeah, it's a tall order for them here in Abu Dhabi if they're to make up that 19-point deficit. Well, let's hear from him now. Let's see how Lando is feeling today.
He's with Ted.
Excited for this weekend. 19 points is a bit of a amount to overturn, but you could get another Imola. Anything is possible. You could get another podium and do that, and I'm sure you'll be going all out to do that.
It's possible. It's possible for sure. Definitely not going to be an easy one to do. But the same way we lost it so easily last week with 2 failures, it can happen the other way around. It's happened to Alpine in the past, so we'll see. They're doing a good job, so hats off to them. But we'll keep fighting until the checkered flag on Sunday evening. So I'm excited. I like Abu Dhabi. It's a place I've generally always done reasonably well at, so I'm hoping that will continue this weekend.
Great stuff. Have a good weekend. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Well, let's talk about his old teammate, Carlos, because it feels like he's having a decent run of form at the moment. He was, 4th in the sprint, 3rd in the race? I mean, he's doing well. It feels like he's just come out of that mid-season dip, if you like.
Yeah, I mean, he was 2nd in the sprint, wasn't he? Behind George. And then
2nd in the sprint, 3rd in the race.
Yeah, so, effectively double podium for him yesterday, last week, I should say. So, no, I think, just speaking to Carlos, he started off behind Charles in terms of just comfort level with the car. He was not happy with it. But as the season's gone on and as they've developed the car and brought upgrades to it, especially since the summer break, you're right, that run of form has certainly improved. So I think he's in that position now where he's hoping that what they've learned this year translates to 2023. That is the key for him, is to not lose out on results and performances in the early part of the year.
Well, certainly we've heard that they have moved their attention to 2023, some months ago. They talked about Brazil being the best possible result. What's the best possible result for them here, do you believe?
I think more podium. If they can get 1 or 2 of their cars on the podium, that would be fantastic. What a way to finish. From the promise of the start of the season, which withered and then went wayward, and then it kind of reconstituted itself a bit to more like what it was looking like.
That's a summary of their Friday qualifying with the tyre debacle, isn't it?
It is honestly. It's been so many bumps along this road for them. But I have to say that the guy who I look at that team and I think the guy who gives me confidence, even though he's had 1 or 2 offs at the early part of the season, is Carlos. He's the way he talks is authoritative, and he seems certain about what he's talking about, and he's not dramatic about anything. There's no histrionics, and so I think he's a good, solid member who can deliver at the very highest level if needed as well.
Okay, well, let's hear from him now, shall we?
You ended it on the podium, so all's good. With the engine penalty, of course, Charles also came back from the spin from Lando as well. So there is some decent pace in the car now.
Yeah, I think in Brazil we were back to the average pace of the car this year, no? When you take into account these last few races, I think we've been strong apart from Mexico. Yeah, it just shows, that even this year on a clean weekend, like in Brazil, I got the 5 places penalty, the brake duct stuck in with a plastic. So it's still a crazy race, but managed to get a podium and, yeah, feeling every race more comfortable and happier with the car.
Yeah, no, it was really good. I forgot about that. The compromise strategy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it was still smoking. I was quite surprised at. Could you see it coming out the
It was
pits?
tight. It was tight.
It was pretty tight.
The thing was burned, and I could see fire on my rear right tire, and I was already thinking about the 7th or 8th DNF of the season. So imagine how tough it's been.
Did you brake at all on that outlap?
I lifted and coasted for a long time. Yeah.
Okay, and just a thought on going forward. I mean, you should be able to fend off Mercedes, or is the team a bit worried about them for P2 and the constructors?
No, I think if we focus on our weekend and we get together a strong weekend, we try and fight for the win, and then we should get enough points. If Mercedes dominates the weekend and does a 1-2, then it's when it gets complicated, no? But let's just focus on ourselves and make sure that we are on pole, win the race, and then see from there.
Well, you're certainly in form at the moment, so I wouldn't bet against it. Have a good weekend.
Thank you very
Thanks
much.
a lot.
Thank you.
It's good to see him smiling. Let's talk about his teammate now. So, pretty decent race weekend in Brazil, 6th in the sprint and then 4th, but he would have perhaps hoped for more. Given that everything he had to contend with, that little tap from Lando Norris, it was a fairly decent recovery, do you think?
Yeah, but I think his weekend, just got completely knocked in qualifying with that debacle around the tyres.
Inters.
I mean, it was a very bizarre decision. I was standing in the pit lane with Ted, and I remember watching him go past. I thought, but there's no water on the ground. What are they doing?
But this feels like a massive sense of déjà vu, Karun. I mean, we often have said of Charles, that seems a strange decision.
Yeah, and I think going into it, I think the driver's got to take a certain amount of accountability as well. I think, in those situations, the team, they look at all the data and they're looking at the radar and they're looking at this information. But I think there's a certain responsibility on the driver also to say, hang on a second, what's actually happening on track? These are the tyres that I would like. And, from what I understand, on the other side of the garage, that was the case. I think Carlos did take a bit of ownership in that decision to go on slicks, whereas the other car didn't.
Which contradicts what they were saying, which is that they were splitting it to cover both bases. But if Carlos had to change to slicks, then they were going to send both of them out on inters.
Well, this is it. When you've got 8 or 9 of the cars on one type of tyre, and you're the anomaly, you're either going to look like a complete hero or a complete zero, aren't you?
Scissors, paper, stone, wasn't it? When they take the covers off, it's we've got the inters on.
But I think actually your earlier point's pertinent here is being assertive with Team Radio. I mean, just saying, actually, this is what I feel is the right decision and sticking with it.
Yeah.
Is that perhaps a maybe little chink in Leclerc's armour?
I think Charles has come from a system which is very much the engineers tell you what to do with the car, the ART, and I understand that's the way they work, is the drivers follow the instructions of the team, and I think that maybe Carlos coming from a different team and McLaren and also his own experience, maybe with his dad, his dad clearly called the shots as a rally driver, so he's learned something perhaps about how else you can go about racing.
I think if you're going from dry to wet, the driver needs to make the call because they feel what's happening on the track and they feel the grip. If it's the other way around, then you do rely on the team because they can see what other people are doing and what the conditions are. And we talked about this in Sochi, didn't we? That race that Lando lost with McLaren, and that's exactly what happened there. So yeah, I think
there's a sort of golden rule, isn't there? You don't go out on a dry track with wet tyres or intermediates.
Exactly.
That's sort of a golden
rule. Which actually Laurent Mekies admitted himself in the on Friday evening after that qualifying.
Okay, well, talking of leadership and asserting oneself, there are rumours that Binotto may not be in his position from 2023, and it's actually Fred Vasseur that's stepping in. They have been quashed by the team. What's your gut feeling on that?
I don't know is the honest answer because, when the rumours all came out and it started from the big Italian newspaper, La Gazzetta dello Sport, you kind of thought, okay, they've had a pretty rough year, I'd believe it. But as you say, Ferrari as a team quickly put an end to those rumours. So I'm not sure what to read of it, to be honest, because they were so strong in saying that it's completely untrue. that if they do make a change over the winter, that'll be a bit more confusing. I don't know.
Vasseur, of course, has known Charles for his whole career, so there's a sort of partnership that's worked over the years. But would it be right to change the man at the top at this stage?
Well, I mean, first of all, Binotto's been there for a very long time and knows the story. I was never really sure whether he should have been in that position as a team principal, because he struck me more as an engineer. And that's fine, but you know, you need a race team guy. Maybe Fred Vasseur is the guy on the pit wall who is good running the troops at a racetrack, and that's what they need. Maybe they'll both end up there.
I was going to say, that might actually be a very good solution, is to have both of them there. Because you know,
that's what I'd do if I was only running Ferrari.
Yeah,
but
I would too. But we don't, so who knows what'll happen.
Oh, you never know. You never know. OK, let's go back to the press conference now and see what the drivers have got to say.
And welcome back, everybody, to part 2 of our press conference here in Abu Dhabi. As you can see, this time we have George Russell, Daniel Ricciardo, Max Verstappen, Charles Leclerc, and Mick Schumacher from left to right. That was. Let's go left to right. George, if we could start with you, please. How was the party on the flight here? Was Carlos Sainz as generous as he promised to be?
No, he wasn't, to be honest. No, I think there was quite a lot of us on that flight. It was Carlos, myself, Charles, Pierre, Kevin, Fernando, Esteban, Lewis. You've all missed out. I had
to go on simulator.
I think because there were so many emotions on Sunday night, and you know, speaking with all of you guys afterwards, and then the celebrations with the team. Then everyone was in a bit of a rush to get to the airport. The flight didn't take off until 3 a.m. and I was just absolutely knackered. So celebrations, not all of it, not all.
You slept on flight.
I slept quite a long time. It was a tough race. Celebrations have been put on hold until this Sunday. So I've got some of my family out here this weekend. So yeah, Sunday night this week.
George, just one final question on the win. You've now had a few days for the victory to sink in. Just what sort of an impact has becoming a race winner in Formula One had on you?
I'm not too sure, to be honest. I think, obviously just very proud of the achievement. Something I've worked my whole life towards, and what you dream of as a child, and you know, my years in Formula One, you dream of that moment, go into every race sort of believing you can achieve it, but sometimes recognizing very early on in a weekend that it's not going to be probably possible that weekend. But the stars just seemed to align that weekend, and the race on Sunday was perfect, and coming away with maximum points, it was pretty special.
Do you arrive here in Abu Dhabi somehow a different driver?
No, I don't think so, to be honest. I always believed I could achieve victories, and you believe you can become a world champion. For sure, confidence is high, and the morale within the team is booming. But I don't suddenly feel transformed overnight. I still feel the same driver as I was this time 1 week ago.
So morale is booming. What chance a repeat here in Abu Dhabi? Another win?
Yeah, I think we'll be going for it, to be honest. I think since Austin, the car has been performing really, really well, and probably better than we could have ever hoped for. For sure, Max and Red Bull are going to be fast here. I think the combination of the low-speed corners and the long straights, it's going to suit their car really, really well. But, we saw even in Brazil in a circuit that we didn't expect to be quite as competitive. We were still very quick. So, we'll be going for it.
All right, good luck with that. Thank you. Daniel, if we could come to you. How did winning your first race in Montreal change you as a driver? Did it in some way give you more confidence?
I noticed George's head's a little bigger. I think as George kind of touched on, it's something you truly believe you can do and obviously achieve, but until you do, you just don't know. So was that a tongue twister?
Yeah, there's a lot of do's in there.
Yeah, a lot of do's. No don'ts.
No don'ts, all do's.
But it's, we've won in junior categories, so it's like we know how to win, but doing it at that level, and let's say on the main stage, it's just until you cross that line and get that feeling and like confirm it all to yourself, you just don't know. But it's like I think that's why I looked at George obviously on the weekend and reminded me of those emotions from the first win, and I could obviously relate to what he's gone through, and that's you can't not be happy for someone. It's one of the best days of your life. So and it's a game changer. So pretty special.
All right, now look, bringing it on to this weekend, it's your last in Formula One, at least for now. How are you feeling?
I feel good. I'm not, let's say mentally, I'm not treating it like it's going to be my last ever race, but it could be. Like I know that nothing's guaranteed in the future, so I'm just kind of going out I'm going to enjoy it. I'm not going to get too, let's say, emotional about it, about the thought that, is it the last one or not? But I do want to enjoy it and just take it for what it is. I got a grid penalty. I normally go better when I have penalties, so I actually asked for a 5-place penalty, but 3 will do, so there we go.
And have you made any progress on what's next?
Not yet. I mean, I say progress, yes, but still nothing's confirmed. So, but progress is being made. So, we'll see. Hopefully you can see my good looks again next year to some degree.
Look, final one. You're not alone in stepping away from Formula One after this race. Can we just get a word on your former teammate, Sebastian Vettel? What's his legacy?
When you said former, I thought you were saying Max is hanging it up. You're not, are you?
Not yet.
Oh, yeah, okay. One more season. Well, it's, with Seb, I feel like I've been asked a lot. I'm sure we all have since he announced his retirement, and only good things to say. Let's start with that. I think he's, as a person, I can speak so highly of him. Also, just like on a personal level, some things that he's done for me. Just very, very appreciative of. I think he's a very caring individual. Cares about the sport as a whole, but also cares about, let's say, us drivers. We're all competitors for sure, but I think he's definitely able to separate that and just look out for us ultimately. And as a competitor, I think back to 2013, when he won every race in the second half of the season, and it was like a relentless approach. Like he just wasn't satisfied. Like he ultimately wanted to destroy the competition, and I felt like that was like you could just see like the raw competitor in him, and that drive to not win but to destroy, if you will. You had to admire and respect that.
All right, Daniel, lovely words. Thank you very much. Good luck this weekend. Max, coming to you. Can we start with Sebastian as well? Just get your thoughts on him, his career. Are there any particular battles that you've had with him that stand out?
Well, first of all, of course, he has meant a lot also to Red Bull. He came through as a junior and basically achieved all of it in the sport, and he still has a lot of friends within Red Bull, all the way up, he's had a career which a lot of people could only dream of, but at the end of the day, that's not everything. I think as a person, he's always been very caring. Of course, I had my heated battles with him, especially in the beginning of my career, but for me, one thing I will always remember for the rest of my life, last year, Silverstone, I came back from the hospital to get to my motorhome to get all my stuff, and he was there waiting for me when I got out of the car, and he was like, "Hey Max, like, how are you doing? Are you okay?" And that just shows how he is, a super nice, caring person who is not only there for performance but also means well, And I think that's also really nice to be remembered like that. And yeah, we'll also do a helmet swap this weekend. So that's definitely a very nice helmet to have in the collection. And he will definitely be missed. But on the other hand, I also really wish him well for the future, whatever he wants to do, to be honest. But I think most of it, what is most important is spend time with family. You know, he's a real family man, and that's great to see and great example.
Right. Thank you for that. If we can just bring it on to performance now. It was a rare off weekend for Red Bull at Interlagos. Do you and the team now understand where the problems lay?
Yeah, it was not particularly a great weekend for us in Sao Paulo, but I mean, yeah, we do understand a few things. Still a few things we need to analyze a bit more, but we have enough time to do so before we get there again next year. But yeah, of course you always try to do well every single weekend. Some races are just a bit better than others. Some tracks you suit your car a little bit better than others, and I think also around there, you know, the tarmac is very aggressive, and with only one practice session, probably we didn't get the setup right as well. And then when you can't change it, you have to carry it for the rest of the weekend. So we know that, and that definitely, you know, didn't help the performance.
Thank you. Final one from me. Your teammate is in a battle for P2 with the man on your left. Can Checo count on your help should he need it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to see the battle. And yeah, we know as a team, you know, we've never finished first and second. So if we could achieve that, yeah, that would be amazing. And for sure, if the opportunity is there, you know, to help as a team, you know, we're gonna do that.
All right, thank you, Max. Best of luck to you. Now, Charles, if we could just kick off talking about your former teammate, Sebastian Vettel. What will you remember from your time together?
Again, I can only agree with whatever has been said by Max and Daniel. He's been incredible. He's achieved so much in the sport, and there's nothing much more to say on that side. But as a person, he's been incredible. I remember already in Formula 2, I was doing the simulator work, which, okay, it's not an easy work to do because it's really, really tiring. And I thought that Seb probably didn't even know I was on the simulator. And I received a letter one day just thanking me for all the hard work. And that meant a lot for me at that time. But that was only a small thing. Then obviously we became teammates in 2019 and 2020 also, where he has learned me really a lot. We've had our tense moments on track, but the respect of the track has never changed, and he's always been there for me whenever I had difficult times. And that was very different to what I was used to with my previous teammates. Obviously, in Formula 1, it's normal. There's inner competition inside the team, but he has always been super caring and trying to help me whenever I was going through more difficult times. But yeah, he will definitely be missed. I'm sure that he will enjoy his time off the racetrack, and that he will find other things that makes him happy.
All right, Charles, and before we come on and talk about the performance of the car, I did just want to ask you about some speculation that's been out there in recent days concerning the future of Ferrari team principal Mattia Binotto. What's your reaction to those stories?
I mean, overall, there are always rumors around Formula 1 and especially around Ferrari, and this doesn't change. Obviously, when we are getting to the end of the season, there are always voices around us. But I think as a team, we really need to focus on our job on track, try to extract all of the things that is happening around the team. People tend to forget how big of a step we've done from last year to this year. There's definitely another step that we need to do, but I am sure that we'll do it all together, and starting with this race, hopefully to finish on a high this season. But apart from that, there's nothing more to say. I don't think we should give too much attention to that.
And have you got the pace to finish the season on a high? What do you think from a performance point of view?
Well, I hope so. It's been a bit up and down in the last few races. Brazil has been good, but unfortunately, because of our first lap incident, it was all about coming back to the front. But the pace was there, so I hope we will be strong enough to fight for the top positions. Obviously, we are fighting for the second place in the Drivers' Championship and also the second place in the Constructors' Championship. And again, after going through two very tough years in 2020 and 2021, it will be good to be back fighting at the top. Even though our goal is to fight for the championship eventually, after these 2 difficult years, it will be good to be second.
All right, best of luck with that. Thank you. Mick, thank you for waiting. Coming to you now. This is a difficult moment for you, given the recent news about Nico Hülkenberg and Haas. First of all, can we get your reaction to the news?
Yeah, obviously it's disappointing in some ways because I feel like I've been doing a good job up to this point. On the other hand, you know, the team decided to go that way, so I have to respect that. And so, yeah, I'm focused on the future now.
You say you think you've done a good job. Can you just sum up the sort of season you think you've had with Haas?
Yeah, I mean, we've had our up and downs for sure, but I think that the trend was always pointing upwards, and I think that that's what's what's important. And it's only my second year in Formula One. Last year, I don't even know if you can really count it as a year because obviously it was a tough one. We were only at the back, and so yeah, it was definitely something I had to get used to being. In the midfield pack fighting, and I feel that, yeah, across the year we've managed to do that, and I feel like I've extracted the maximum out of each situation, let's say. So yeah, I feel that the trend was there.
So what's next? How do you get yourself back onto the Formula One grid?
Well, I mean, I definitely want to stick around, and I mean, I have time now, so I will see all the options that I have, and then, yeah, hopefully take the right one that will bring me into a bright future. Final one from me. What are your goals for the weekend? Finish on a high. I mean, as high as we can, I guess. We have a car which is probably just close to P10, maybe a bit below. But if we get everything right, I'm sure there's potential to be in the points, and I think that that's still what we're aiming for, to score as many points, because we're in a tight battle with AlphaTauri, and also for me in the drivers standing, I want to be obviously as far forwards as I can.
All right, Mick, thank you for that. Let's open this to the floor. Who's got our first question, please?
David Croft, Sky Sports. Charles, well, it's a two-part question, if that's okay, but Charles first. Is stability what Ferrari need over the winter, or after a series of incidents throughout the season when you've not been totally 100% happy, does it need a change within the team? And Max, I think a question that a lot of fans were asking at the end of Brazil last week was 6th place. Why was 6th place so important to you that you seemed to go against what the team were asking you at the time? So, two-part question there. Charles first.
I think stability is paying off. I mean, we've been showing in the last few years that we are improving. As I was saying earlier, then there's another step that we need to do, but we are working on that, and I'm sure we'll achieve that.
It wasn't about the position. It doesn't matter if first or second or 6th or 7th or 10. It was about something that happened earlier in the season, and I already explained that in Mexico, and the team understood and agreed. And yeah, we went to Brazil, and I just thought, we're just gonna race, try to get the best possible result. And yeah, we had a bit of a miscommunication on Saturday and Sunday. Nothing had been said to me about a potential swap or whatever. It only came into that last lap that it was said on the radio. And I think, yeah, they should have known my response already from what I said the week before. And after that race, yeah, we had some good discussion. We put everything on the table, and everything has been solved. So in hindsight, we should have had that conversation earlier, because I have never been a bad teammate to anyone. I've always been very helpful, and the team knows that. I always put the team up front, because at the end of the day, it is a team effort. So yeah, I think what we learned from that is that we have to be a little bit more open, and we just have to communicate better to each other. But after that race, of course, yeah, I looked very bad, in the media, but also they didn't have the clear picture. But to immediately put me down like that is pretty ridiculous, to be honest, because they don't know how I work within the team and what the team appreciates about me. So all the things that I've read is pretty disgusting. And also, even more than that, they started attacking my family. They were threatening my sister, my mom, my girlfriend, my dad. And for me, that goes way too far. Well, you don't even have the facts, of what actually was going on. And that definitely has to stop. If you have a problem with me, that's fine. But don't go after my family, because that is just unacceptable. But we move on. Honestly, I have a great relationship with Checo. But I just don't understand when people don't have the full picture to immediately start attacking me like that. But yeah, I hope they actually understand what was going on, because it's just unacceptable behavior of so many people. Also in this paddock, to be honest, it's not only fans, but a lot of people, what they have been writing about me is just ridiculous.
Very, very interesting. So Max Verstappen once again getting a bit too frustrated about the social media abuse towards him, quite rightly so as well. There's no place for that in motorsport as well. And hopefully that dies down over the next couple of weeks as well as we go into the winter break. But then again, many people are still angry with him for what happened last year when it wasn't actually his fault. Michael Masi made a snap decision and Red Bull benefited from it as well. So it's very bizarre. Situation is going to run and run and run, but hopefully 2023 is going to be a lot more of a closer season than we've seen in the past as well. Okay, time for your coverage details coming into this weekend. Practice 1 underway from 9:45 a.m. British time. Session starts at 10. Practice 2, 12:45. Session starts at 1. Practice 3, we're on air. Slightly different times of practice 3. We're on air at 10:15. Session starts at 10:30 a.m. Qualifying, again, slightly different times. We're on air from 1:45. Session starts at 2. And then the race on Sunday, we are on air from 11 a.m. Yeah, very early, 11 a.m. as when the lights out at 1 as well, as we will go through a little bit of a difference of our broadcast. Half an hour we'll spend hearing from drivers out in the track parade as well as we gear up towards the end of the season. Thanks for your company here today. We'll see you tomorrow for practice 1. As I said, 9:45 a.m. 1 here. The session gets underway at 10. Thanks for your company. Bye-bye for now.